Hello everyone and welcome back to Crochet Rocks. My name's Tracy and this is part 2 of how to make the delicious donut, and this is the one that I made in part 1. I did explain in another video but you may not see it. I did do part 2 and it was a particularly busy day with lots of interruptions, and the phone rang. So I paused the video halfway through to answer the phone, and when I came back I did press the button to start the recording again, but it didn't work. So I sewed it all together and stuffed it and everything, but it didn't actually record. So I had to go ahead and make another one so that we can sew that up together. So for this particular donut, because I run out of the odd scraps that I used before, I had to use this is sheepis yarn. I've heard a lot of people say it in different ways, but I just say sheepis. This colour would be ideal if you were going to do a pink donut. I found I was going to have a little go and see if I could do another one, but this one with the brown is perfect for chocolate. This is a Signet yarn because I couldn't find any really dark browns that would actually see them. Even that is not as dark as the previous one. It's dark enough for chocolate, but it's not as dark as it was. Now I've already gone ahead and threadled 2 needles because it's no fun watching me struggle with threading a needle, and one is in the colour which is the base part of the donut, and this one we left a long thread, so I've done both of those. So I've also got another little ring close at hand and a pair of scissors, and obviously 2 darning needles. So the first thing that I'm going to do is sew this down. Now when I did mine I didn't do that, I just did it as I go, but I think for the purposes of this tutorial it was going to be easier if I just secure this little strap beforehand. And it's not wide, so it's not going to take very much, and it's just a few little whip stitches, and then that little strap thing is secure, and we can carry on with the rest of the sewing up. So that should have it. Now you've got this little strap ready to put through the ring. So with the right side of our donut facing, and that one has kind of gone inside out a little bit. That doesn't matter about these tails so much because they're going to live inside the donut and they'll never come out. So we put these 2 sides together like this, and we will just whip stitch them together. Now you can either go through the whole of the stitch. If you look closely you can see the V. You can either go through the whole thing like that, or you can go through the edge, 2 edges that are facing. It's totally your preference, and whichever one you feel is the most secure. But I usually just go through the outer edges because it gives you a nice little ridge around the donut then, and it's secure enough. Now the one thing I will say is when you do the middle of the donut, this part here, when we come to sew that, you need to be really tight on your stitching. When I made my first one I did just 1 whip stitch all the way around, and I found it was just coming open a little bit because of these chains, so I did 2 in each and that was enough to secure it. So we're not going to go all the way round, and we're going to keep our stitches nice and tight, hoping I'm in the camera, because we don't want any of the stuffing to be poking through at all. And you know, if you wanted to make it more secure, then by all means go through both of the stitches at the top of the ends of the crochet, so like you would be going through 2 and 2 rather than just the 1 and the 1. But if you want to put a little extra one here and there, then that's fine, as long as it's really secure. So we just do that until we get a little way around. This is how I found the best way to sew it up was a little bit at a time, and then put some stuff in inside. If I did it all, it was very difficult to poke it round. So, well, not difficult, but it's easier if you do just a little bit at a time. So when I sewed on my sprinkles this time, I didn't have those bright colours that I had before. So I just chose these. There's like a pink, and I got these out of some of the magazines that you buy, you know, when you've got something on there that you can make a toy in. I always have really good intentions of making the toy that's on the magazine, or some of the projects that are on the magazine, and then I never do. So consequently, I've stopped buying those magazines because they are expensive, and I never do make the projects, so it's just a waste of money really. So I figured that I'll just use these little balls of yarn for little projects like this, and that's perfect then. So I'm going to call it a day for a moment. I would put that in there to keep it secure, but it does tend to get hooked up with this one when you get going. So you just want to secure, forget that long tail, it doesn't matter, or that one there, and you just want to secure this to it, and you don't have to do it in a fancy way. You can just tighten a knot simply, because all of those ends and everything else are going to be inside the donut and will never be seen. So it doesn't have to be too pretty, just as long as it's secured with a double knot like that. And then we can, the only thing will get confusing seeing all these little bits of ends, so just keep them in there, get the edges where you need them, and make sure that this is through your ring. And now we get the edges together, get rid of that end and make sure it's at the right. It is a bit confusing with all these ends. Maybe I'll snip a few, or that's it. Don't know if you can hear my grandson. He's having a bit of a moan up there. I've got the microphone working today, so hopefully you'll find it's making a difference, although it's on the other side of the phone, the way it has to fit in my tripod. Right, so it doesn't matter what colour you use, as long as you're using one of the colours that is in this donut, like the base or the chocolate or the underside colour. As long as you're using one of them, then you won't see the stitching. And as I said before, make sure that you put a lot of stitches in this part, because as you can see that pulls open, so I would even go further down and grab some of the actual work just to make sure that it's going to be secure, because you don't want stuff in saying hello to you. So then we'll just carry on going around, making sure it's tight, keeping your work tight all the time. It is a bit difficult to get your fingers in. And just, am I in the camera? Yeah. Just whip stitch around. Some of these chains do feel a little loose. I'm not happy about that. Hopefully it won't cause too much of a problem when I go to poke the stuffing in. So if you look, although you've only sewn a little bit here, you're actually almost level with the bit that you've already sewn, or I've already sewn, should I say. I'm going to catch that as well, because I didn't think that. This sheepy's wool is quite soft, so although I didn't make a very loose chain, it's very soft, so it pulls open just a little bit. But I'd run out of that pretty sturdy wool that I was using. So I'm going to leave that there as well for now, and I'm going to get some of this stuff in. I don't know if I've got enough here. I might have to go and get another bit, but this will, I think it'll be okay just to show you. And I'll try to keep these separate so they don't get tangled or messy. And so we just poke this in now and try and remember to get right up and round that edge. You don't have to go too far because it's only secured to there. And just, you can poke it in and stuff it as fat as you want or not. So that's that bit done, and then we just continue. So we do this edge first. And go all the way around, doing the same thing. I've never been the best sewer in the world, but I don't think you have to be for this. It's just a little bit of whip stitch goes a long way. I was actually really cheesed off yesterday because not only did my donut tutorial mess up because it didn't record. I tried to make a tutorial for a blanket crochet along that I'm going to do, and that I just kept getting people coming in or knocking at the door, and then, you know, with the other one the phone rang, and in the end I just abandoned everything and thought, bad day, turn it all off and go do something else and start again tomorrow. You know, just sometimes you just get bad communication days, don't you, where everything goes wrong, technology goes wrong, and just nothing works for you. And that was me yesterday. I had one of those days. So just carry on going round, and then I can feel my stuffing is moving. And then you just leave that for a moment. It doesn't matter if you go all the way around with the bottom bit. It is in, let's poke that in because it's come down a little bit and it's in the way. There you go. Poking back. That one over there. I found it easier to do mine at the same time, but you may not. So yeah, you just now carry on with this centre and making very sure that you've got everything. So I'm going to pause the video and go further round because it's going, otherwise you're going to watch me sew the whole thing and it's quite boring. So I'm pausing the video, and when I get a bit nearer I'll start up again. Okay, so I've gone all the way around the middle part, so I'm just going to open it up there. I'll put this on the inside, and I'm just going to secure this on the inside. So, and I normally just keep my thumb in it and do a loop, and then when it gets near the edge I go back through it so it knots down, and then I can just sew this end in. Doesn't have to be brilliant, as long as it's secure-ish. Remember, it's all staying on the inside, so nobody's going to really see that end, so we can leave it a little longer than we would normally. Oops, dropping the scissors. Remove that one, which will make life a lot easier. Put that back the right way, those ends all in, and just carry on sewing. I didn't get very far with the outer edge. Just carry on sewing this edge all the way around. I think the hardest bit is definitely doing the middle, because you just got not very much room for your fingers to get in there. But once you've got a little way around, you just do the same thing with the stuffing as before, and pop some in. And I think I've got a little bit there, so I'll put this little bit over here in. Yeah, see, it's taken shape, and just keep going. So once again, I'll pause that video and I'll meet you when I'm more or less round. Okay, so I've got near enough all the way around, so I just get the rest of my stuff in and start poking it in there. making sure it pushes around so it's all nice and even. And then just got to sew that. I think there's a bit too much that side, so we almost push it along a little bit, a little bit back, and now we just got to sew up the pull it along a little bit and pull that one along that way a little bit so it meets nicely. Poke that back in, and then just continue sewing it all up, and there we go. Make sure it's nice and tight. Just enough stuff in there. I suppose I could have done with a tiny bit more, but you can always push it around, manipulate it once it's in there to get it to be completely even. So now we're at the bit where the tie is. Mustn't forget that part. A little big chunky bit to sew into there. That's fine. Sorry if I'm moving about. Get carried away with the end in sight. That's getting a bit near the end. So that should be completely sewn up now. And so what we do now is where this tie is, we can just do the same thing, end off our yarn, make a little loop, put that through, and I'll make it nice and secure, and then I can just sew this end in along this row here of stitches. With the previous donut that I made, this strap I did 3 stitches wide, and this one's 4. I think I prefer it with 3. My original one was 4. I thought it was a little bit more secure, but looking at it, I prefer it that way. So with this end, what I normally do is I just go into the donut. Just go into it, pull it out, and then if you get your scissors, and there's a little trick with every end that you'll ever make, if you pull it slightly and then cut it, it will disappear inside. So there we have the donut. I just need to push the stuff in round evenly, but there he is, and get the little ring and pop it in. Whoops, trying to do that. There we are. There's the ring. So there's the one I made first. Well, that's the one I made second actually. But you can just tease that stuff in around so it's nice and even. It's a little bit missing at the top there. Let's push it along. And there you are. 1 delicious, or 2 delicious donuts. This darker yarn is a little bit better, I think, a little bit more effective, but they're both chocolate, so both as equally tasty. So thanks very much for watching. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell, and you'll be informed when there are new videos coming along. So thank you very much for watching. If you could like and share this video, and I shall see you soon. Thank you. Bye bye.